Thank you for joining us today as we provide a brief factual presentation about Shoreline's Proposition 1 and answer your questions. We are not here to speak in favor of or against the measure. It is up to Shoreline voters to determine if they are in favor or opposed to this measure. In 2017, after 18 months of public process, the City Council approved the Parks, Recreation, and Open Space, or PROS, plan, which sets a trajectory for parks, recreation, and cultural programming for the City of Shoreline for the next 6 to 20 years. The PROS plan includes 11 strategic action initiatives. Included in the strategic action initiatives are various park improvements to expand and enhance outdoor recreation opportunities for the community. Proposition 1 addresses several of these action initiatives. Between 2017 and 2019, beginning with PROS plan outreach, the public shared their input in the design of park improvements. Outreach included surveys, focus groups, dot exercises, stakeholder meetings, open houses, online comment forms, social media, resident committees, and the Parks Board. The park improvements reflect the public's comments over this 3-year period. A resident committee spent 7 months, starting in September 2018, studying options. In 2020, the Park Board made a recommendation to the City Council to place a park improvement and park land acquisition ballot measure before the Shoreline voters. In 2020, the City Council held several discussions regarding a new bond measure for park improvements and park land acquisitions. On January 25, 2021, they voted to approve placing Proposition 1 to fund park improvements and parkland acquisitions on the April 27, 2021 special election ballot. That measure ended up not having enough voter participation to meet the validation requirements needed to pass. Under state law, bond measures require 60% approval to pass, as well as meeting all validation requirements. For a bond measure to validate, the total number of votes cast in the election in question must be at least 40% of the number of votes cast in the previous general election. For the April general election, the validation requirement was set in November 2020. 72% of Shoreline voters who voted in April approved the measure, but it was 122 votes short of meeting the 40% number of votes validation requirement. On November 1st, 2021, the City Council adopted a resolution to place the same measure from April on the February 2022 special election ballot. If approved by Shoreline voters, Proposition 1 authorizes improvements to 8 parks and the acquisition and improvement of new park land. The 5 parks selected for significant improvements represent geographic equity, are in neighborhoods that need gathering places to promote a sense of identity, and did not receive funding from the 2006 bond measure. If approved by Shoreline voters, significant improvements will be made to 5 parks. They are Brugger's Bog, Hillwood, Richmond Highlands, Briarcrest, or Hamlin East, and James Keel Parks. Funding from Proposition 1 would create Briarcrest Community Park out of the east arm of Hamlin Park, which is currently difficult to access for the Briarcrest neighborhood. The new play area, splash pad, and picnic shelter would provide a gathering space for the neighborhood and also serve the wider community. The playground at Brugger's Bog Park is currently underwater several months out of the year. These park improvements would relocate the playground to a drier area of the park and install additional features. Improvements to Hillwood Park include 1 of 2 new splash pads, an expanded play area, a new picnic shelter, and a perimeter trail. A new off-leash dog area will be built at James Keel Park, along with a new perimeter trail and picnic shelter. The existing play equipment will be replaced with a new play area. The Richmond Highlands Recreation Center is home to Shoreline specialized recreation programs. Adding accessible amenities in this location will provide the possibility to expand programming for people with unique physical and mental challenges. While all Shoreline Park
playgrounds meet the Americans with Disabilities Act requirements, this playground will be designed with enhanced accessibility features that provide a place for people of all ages and abilities to enjoy a day in the park. Additional investments will be made in 3 other parks, Krukeberg Botanic Garden, Ridgecrest Park, and Shoreview Park. At Krukeberg Botanic Garden, we will make the Education Center and Children's Garden accessible to people of all abilities. At Ridgecrest Park, we will construct a new off-leash dog area and play area. At Shoreview Park, we will upgrade the off-leash dog area and convert the dirt soccer field to grass. Approval of Proposition 1 will also allow the city to invest in public art throughout the city in accordance with the city's public art plan. Proposition 1 will also allow the city to purchase new parkland and make improvements upon that land.
The city has purchased or plans to purchase land and make improvements to expand Paramount Open Space, Brugger's Bog Park, and Rotary Park. In 2020, the city issued $25 million in bond anticipation notes to support property acquisitions identified in the PROS plans. These funds have already been used to purchase properties such as the expansion of Brugger's Bog Park, Rotary Park, and Paramount Open Space. If Proposition 1 passes, park bond revenue will be used to repay the bond anticipation notes for the property already purchased. Bond anticipation notes are a short-term financing tool to bridge the time period between when the property is purchased and when the public approves a bond measure. The reason that the city has moved forward with purchasing the property in this way is to make sure that these properties are not purchased by others, including developers. They are purchased before the cost of the land continues to escalate, and it is beneficial for the city to purchase the property at the time that there are willing sellers. The city will also look to purchase more parkland in the light rail station areas and other parts of the city. As I stated earlier, for Proposition 1 to pass, it must meet 2 critical thresholds. First, it must receive a minimum 60% yes vote, and secondly, there must be a minimum voter turnout of 40% of the voters who cast ballots in the last general election within the district. You can see here how many votes the proposition needs for validation. There are 39,890 active registered voters for the November 2021 general election. Of those, 15,605 voted. 40% of those voters, or 6,242, would need to vote in order to reach the validation requirement. And 60% of those voting must vote yes to approve the bond measure. The owner of a median valued home, which was $534,000 in 2020, could expect to pay approximately $107 a year or $9 a month in property tax for the park bond. This represents a $31 a year or $3 a month increase over what property owners are currently paying on the soon-to-be expiring 2006 park bonds. State law allows for certain exemptions and deferrals for this type of excess property tax levy to senior citizens, disabled persons, and disabled veterans meeting certain income and other criteria. To find out more about the deferrals and exemptions available, you can visit the King County Assessor's website.
For more information, please visit shorelinewa.gov/Proposition 1. And thank you again for listening to this presentation.